A good exchange, and in our studio this morning is the one half of that exchange, Representative Ileana Ross-Layton, and Republican.
Thank you, Michael.
Great to see you as always. So, let's get to that nub of that question. Is there a hypocritical double standard in U.S. foreign policy dealing with tyrants like Gaddafi and the Castros?
Well, I think there is, and I think it's a shame that Cuba is so close to the United States. I think if it were in the neighborhood of Libya and Tunisia and all of those areas,
closer to Israel.
And closer to Israel, perhaps we would have had a tougher stance. And it's not just this administration, previous ones as well. But in this administration, it's been especially galling because we have now a U.S. citizen, Alan Gross, who is unjustifiably incarcerated. 15 years. The man cannot make it through 15 years. He's in delicate health, and he was there trying to bring tools, computers, etc., to the tiny Jewish community. And so the response of the United States, of this administration, to that unjustifiable incarceration is punishment, isolation, working with our international allies that this administration prides itself on, to send that message? No, it was to open up more airports, have increased travel, do more cultural exchanges. So you shoot down the brothers to the rescue, you take somebody prisoner, and yet we're still in this cultural exchange time.
Congressman Bill Richardson, former governor of New Mexico, former ambassador to the UN, went down to Cuba on a kind of an ad hoc mission, not exactly sure. I'm not sure who sent him. Maybe you have a better idea. In any event, he went down there, tried to speak to the Castro brothers or to Raul Castro, and failed. They wouldn't see him. But he carried a proposal, we are told, that said, all right, we will take one of the Cuban five, one of the spies who had served 13 years, still has 3 years probation to go, and we'll let him return to Cuba to serve the probation, ha ha ha, if you will release Alan Gross. Now, what's wrong with that deal?
It's flabbergasting that this administration would have done that. Absolutely unjustified, because this is a person who was here in the United States to spy on our government agencies, on exile groups, to give information back to the regime that is a sworn enemy of the United States, was given all the liberties that we have in this wonderful country of ours, lawyers and appeals and a true legal process, and to have some kind of moral equivalence to what has happened to Alan Gross is a gross misstatement of justice.
And so, Richardson, this deal that he offered, if it had gone through, even if Gross had been released, you would have said this is no way to deal with the Castro regime?
Well, and I don't even know how legally it could have been justified or how you could have done it. We have here separation of powers. This administration keeps encroaching upon that and believes that that's not part of our system of government, but it is. There's the legal, there's the judicial branch, the executive branch, and the legislative branch. But this administration continues to overreach and encroach on Congress's power and the court's power as well. He has no legal basis to try to do this legal exchange anyway.
Congressman, one more question about Cuba, and then I want to get into Israel, because that's a subject dear to your heart as well. You've been extremely critical of the fact that the Obama administration has reached out to the Castro regime and said, we want to work with you when you are going to put this big oil rig on the north coast of Cuba. And now the United States is going to examine this Repsol rig. It's a Spanish company, big Spanish oil company. Even Senator Bob Graham, who looked into co-chaired the BP oil spill investigation, said we must work with the Cubans to make sure that the Florida Keys and all of the coast of Florida is protected in the event of an oil spill. So what's wrong with
Well, I think it's incredible when people who have a long track record, I'm not saying Bob Graham, I don't know his track record, to be against oil drilling so close to the Florida beaches and have been adamantly opposed to such a scheme, are so willing, ready, willing, and able, eager to go down to Cuba and help the Castro brothers become the oil tycoons of the Caribbean, and to say that if American ingenuity is going to make everything right, have we forgotten about the Exxon Valdez? Have we forgotten about the Deepwater Horizon that blew up right in the Gulf, so close to Louisiana? To think that American know-how is going to save this structure from any possibility of danger, I think it's a little hyperblown. And also, if those individuals are against oil drilling, why are they so willing to try to mitigate the problems? And secondly, Michael, is the fact that U.S. businesses are able to get a license, and in fact they have already been granted a license to go to Cuba and try to mitigate, to try to lessen the damage that could be caused. So that's already law, and they already can do it. This is an end run around the embargo. People who are opposed to oil drilling off of Florida, but they want to do it in Cuba, then they say American know-how can save it. These are folks who are against the embargo, and I understand you're against the embargo, but say it.
Yeah. Well, I'm reminded, was it Emerson who said, foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of little minds? But
oh, listen,
that's for another.
And those of us who have had long track records in government, you know, we're not that we're inconsistent, but we evolve and we change our positions based on the facts on the ground. But the truth remains that we should be more proactive about trying to stop this oil drilling from taking place. I have a bill to deny visas to those individuals who are doing this scheme with Castro, and
the
say,
oil
look,
companies who want to go down and
we've got
oil service
Indian companies, Chinese companies, Spanish companies, Italian companies, everybody's in on this, and they say, decide, you're going to help Castro or you're going to come to the U.S. There's a lot that we can do to pressure now so that this does not happen.
So
it's not a fait accompli.
There are levers you can push.